my channel. I'm Nurse Dre and you are watching some true crime today. We're doing Mystery Monday. We're talking about the story of Jessica Mcclure, who was a baby that got stuck in a very sticky situation when she was about 18 months old back in the 80s. It's an old story, but a classic. So if you're interested in true crime, homeopathy, things like that, and you want to see more, make sure you do hit that subscribe button down below and smack that like button in the face to see more. Before we get started, I want to preface that most of the clips that I'll be using in this video are clips from a movie that was made about Jessica in the early 90s called Everybody's Baby, the story of Jessica Mcclure. I highly recommend that you go check out that movie. I'll leave the link for it in the description for one of the good versions that you can actually see, because it's really old footage. But definitely check that out because it's a really good movie. And then also at the very end, I'll be showing you some CNN footage of the actual event through like the news crew of actual baby Jessica, so that you can see actually what happened in real life as opposed to not just the story. But I wanted to show you like the storyline. So here we go. This is Jessica. She is the cutest little girl in the world. Kitty's already eating the pillows. Kitty, you can't eat the pillows. I see you back there. Kitty. Kitty. Kitty, kitty. You're gonna sit with me if you can't stop eating pillows, okay? Jessica was born on March 26, 1986 to Sissy and Chip Mcclure. They were a teenage couple, so very young. Kitty! I can't with her. We're going to do the video without any pillows in the background. Sorry. So they lived in Midland, Texas, a very small town. Like I said, the parents were very young teenagers, although they did get married after they had the baby, and they were a happy family. The couple was happy. Jessica was happy. It was a great time. Her father was a construction worker slash painter. Her mom at the time, I don't think was employed, but she was watching some children for her sister. See, her sister ran kind of like a daycare in her house some days, and Sissy would kind of, you know, like watch the kids for her on some days to earn a little extra money. You know, in the 80s, economic times weren't that great, especially for teenage couples. So she was definitely on this particular day watching some other children along with her baby Jessica, who was about 18 months old at the time. And there was about 4 or 5 other kids, and they were all playing in the backyard this one day. So it's October 14th, 1987, and 18-month-old Jessica Mcclure is playing in the backyard of her aunt's house as her mom watches some other children. Moms are dropping off their children, the phone's ringing. It's kind of a, you know, it's the beginning of the morning, and it's kind of a crazy time in the beginning of the morning, obviously. So as Sissy is getting all these children into the backyard to, you know, watch them and let them play, she hears the phone ring. She puts down the baby, runs inside, and answers the phone. Now, she can see out the kitchen window as she's on the phone, and there's nothing wrong. They're in a safe neighborhood. Nothing's ever happened in this neighborhood. There's no reason to think that running inside to answer the phone real quick and coming right back out, nothing would ever happen. However, when Sissy exits the house back into the backyard, after like 2 minutes, literally, she realizes that baby Jessica has disappeared completely. She's running around frantic. She can't find Jessica. She's thinking the worst, like where could she have gone? Could she have run off? Did a kidnapper come grab her? Well, why would he grab one child? It's crazy.
Where's Jessica? Jessica! Jessica! Jessica, are you hiding? Jessica, are you playing hide and seek? Answer me, Jessica. The game's over now. Come out now.
And the next 56 hours would be the most heart-wrenching hours the entire world would ever see. Literally, this would travel, every news agency was covering this case. And it would travel around the country in the first few hours and around the world in the first day. People were on the edge of their seats about this story. So, like I said, Sissy is looking for Jessica. 18 months old. She's tiny, gorgeous little girl. She's nowhere to be found. And all of a sudden, two of the other children start pointing down a pipe, this pipe in the backyard. They start pointing at it. And Sissy can hear Jessica crying. And she's like, what? Where is this crying coming from? And so she looks, and this pipe is like an old well shaft where a well had been on top of it at some point. And then they removed the well, built the neighborhood, I guess, and then the pipe was left there. This pipe went down about 100 feet into the ground. There's no way to remove a pipe like that. You just don't do that. You just cover it up. Well, it was covered up with a huge rock, and there was no reason for Sissy or her sister or anyone to ever believe that it would ever be a danger to their children or anybody, a dog, anything. Because there was this huge rock on top of it. Like, Sissy could barely lift this rock. Well, she realizes now that her baby, her 18-month-old baby, Jessica, has fallen down this 8-inch well. She's inside this well. It's a pipe. It's like this big. How in the world could a baby fall down a well that big? Like, your head is like 8 inches. Somehow, the baby fell down the damn well. And Sissy realizes the worst. How in the am I going to get her out of here? She panics. So Jessica stops crying, and all of a sudden it goes silent, and Sissy is thinking the worst. Like, is my child dead? Did she hit her head? What happened? She could be suffocating. What's going on? And she's screaming Jessica's name and screaming, and nothing. Finally, Jessica starts crying again. And the minute she hears Jessica start crying, she runs to get the phone and calls 911. Now, the police would be there in 3 minutes. And they would insinuate the worst at first. Anybody would think, how the hell did your daughter fall down this well? Like, you must have done something, and it's probably your fault. But guys, let's not judge Sissy in this situation, because honestly, things happen. You look away for a minute, and children get into everything. When you have a 2-year-old, an 18-month-old, whatever, they're into everything. And even though we have no idea how this huge rock got off of the pipe to even open up the pipe for this to happen, it's not Sissy's fault, and we can't blame her for it. And neither could the police. The police saw how distraught Sissy was. They knew that it wasn't something nefarious that had taken place. And so they begin, instead of an investigation, they begin to try to figure out what the hell they're gonna do to get this baby out of this 100-foot well. They don't know how far she's fallen. They can't see her. All they can see is some leaves in the pipe, and they know it's just not a good situation. She's not gonna have oxygen. She's not gonna have food, water. It's a terrible situation. And so the next few hours are dire, important that they figure out a good way to get her out of there. First of all, without her falling any further, and secondly, without crushing her. What are they gonna do? So like I said, rescuers, paramedics, everyone, the fire department, the police, they're all trying to figure out how to get Jessica out. And they're terrified that at any moment Jessica could fall to her death to the bottom of this well. At the bottom of the well, there's water, there's a hard ground, there's nothing good is at the bottom of this well. But on top of that, there's other factors involved that could kill this baby. She doesn't have oxygen. She has no food and water. How long could she be in there without food and water? There's also hypothermia, the fact that it's October, and hypothermia could set in at any time. Suffocation from being squeezed in that tight pipe could get her. She could have blood circulation issues. If a limb is in a different position, it could cut off the circulation to the limb, or even cut off the circulation to her brain. And if she had gotten cut or something had happened on the way down, infection could set in. There's so many possibilities of what could happen to this poor baby. So they know that they have to work fast, but they have no idea what they're gonna do. What do you do? The clock was definitely ticking and pressure was on. So panicking, their first thought was to bring in a backhoe. There was a backhoe down the street. They brought this backhoe in and they start digging. But they quickly realized that the vibration of the backhoe is actually making Jessica slip further down into the well, because as they could hear her crying quite clearly in the beginning, her echoes of her cries are starting to go fainter. So they know that she's slipping further down the well. So this is not working. And on top of that, the backhoe would only be able to dig 10 feet down, and they feel like at this point that she's further than 10 feet. They were just trying to loosen the pipe. Maybe they could pull it out or something, but it's not going to work that way. So they quickly realize that backhoe is definitely not an option. So at this point, police are stumped and they don't know what to do, but they want to establish some kind of communication with her and make sure that they can hear her the entire time. So they confiscate, one of the news crews is there, and they confiscate the microphone of a news crew, and they take it and they slowly enter it into the well so that they can hear her at all times, no matter how far down she slips, which is a great idea in the future. We'll see that in the future. But as for now, they don't know what's keeping her from slipping any further and what condition she's in. And someone shows up and they have an idea. They say, look, I saw a rat hole rig down the road. We can confiscate it. I'll bring it here. We'll try it. And the rat hole rig is like a piece of machinery that can dig straight down, kind of like parallel to the pipe. And the theory was that they would use this rat hole rig that it didn't have as many vibrations, I guess, as the backhoe, but they would dig down deep into the ground, parallel to the pipe, go across to the pipe, cut up to Jessica, cut the pipe, pull her out, right? Underground. Which is a good idea in theory, but if this is their only idea, time is ticking and they have to do something fast. So they do in fact go confiscate this rat hole rig and they bring it back. They knock the fence down, they get a theory together, a plan together, and they start digging. Now, this whole time, Jessica's father has no idea what's going on. Sissy didn't want to bother him at work, and she was hoping that they would have her out soon. I mean, the police had originally told her, we'll have her out in a couple hours, but at this point, it's been like 4 hours. And they have gotten nowhere. They haven't even started drilling yet. So they decide to go get Chip, Jessica's father, and he comes and he is devastated when he gets there. He's surprised that Sissy hasn't even told him, never called him to tell him what was going on. And he can't be mad at her because it's not her fault, and he doesn't get mad at her. But he quickly sees how serious this situation is with his baby girl, and he's devastated. He wants to help, but there's nothing he can do. And police again tell them, look, we are going to have her out in a couple hours. Don't worry about a thing. She'll be fine. So they take her inside. A social worker goes inside with the parents and they sit down and work with them and try to work on a statement for the press. Because at this point, the crowd is gathering outside and the press is getting crazy. Like, there's so many news crews there. It's ridiculous. And at this point, the news of Jessica being stuck down in this well has traveled across the nation. And people are literally on the edge of their seats, like families on their couches watching the news just to see what happened with Jessica. She was literally on CNN. I mean, it was everywhere. People were so invested in this case because they felt it, like, because anybody can relate that you could like turn your back for 2 seconds, like I said, and something happens like this and you are devastated because it could be your fault, but it's not, but it is, but it's like, you know, like your daughter could die. And people were just, it was relatable to people and they were terrified. And so they got so invested in this. They end up having to cut power and gas and everything to like 600 homes in the area because of the equipment that they were using. And they didn't want to hit the power lines and all that. And so it was like all the neighbors knew what was going on, so they had all come out to see what was going on, of course. So they're all surrounding this yard. And about an hour into drilling with this rat hole rig, they realize that they have hit straight caliche rock. It's about 6 feet down, and that's not far. That's definitely not as far as Jessica has slipped. And the problem with this rock is that caliche rock is some of the hardest rock you can find in Texas, in the US. And to drill through it, they would need straight carbine bits to be able to get through the rock, because they can drill through it, but the drill bit is just gonna dim out in like a couple feet. So they need the carbine so that it doesn't dim and get like dull. So that takes another hour to get the carbine bits, you know, and time is just ticking. And as the time goes by, the parents are freaking out and they have no idea what to do. And at this point, a doctor shows up, and this doctor, thank goodness for her, because she had all the ideas. She starts to tell police and paramedics about what could actually happen to Jessica and what the risks were. And they decide to add some oxygen to the pipe so that Jessica can get oxygen to breathe, because who knows what her oxygen level is down in that pipe. Like I said, she could be getting squeezed to death. There's no oxygen probably. We don't know. So they start to feed an oxygen line down to her. It would end up taking 8 hours to drill down 29 feet to below where Jessica was. At this point, they found that Jessica had slid down that big pipe 22 feet. 22 feet out of the 100. She's a fourth of the way to the ground. Close enough, in my opinion, to fall again and hit the ground or the water and die. By this point, it's nighttime and the temperature drops 20 degrees. They end up finding that it's about 50 to 60 degrees inside the pipe. So the doctor suggests that they rig up this pipe. Somehow they rigged up this thing that they could slide down into the well and provide some heat for Jessica to keep her warm so that hypothermia does not set in. So at this point she's got a microphone, she's got oxygen, and she's got heat being pumped down into the pipe for her. That eliminates some of the problems that we have so far, but still the fact is that they've gone an entire day, it's nighttime, they're gonna have to drill into the night and they don't know how long it's gonna take. So at this point it's time for them to start drilling across to Jessica, which they're trying to drill across and up at a diagonal angle from the 29 feet to the 22 feet where she is. And it literally takes them an hour to go 1 inch because of how bad the rock is. Because at this point they're having to drill across. They can't use the rat hole ring anymore. They have to actually drill. So they end up bringing in cavers. So they also have to bring in diamond bits to get through this rock to be able to go across at like a faster pace. And it's not working too much. So they work into the night and into the morning to try to get Jessica out of this damn well. And as they do, people at home watching on the news and the parents of Jessica, everyone is just losing faith because how long can she really survive down there? Doctors inform the police that they really think that she can only survive for 48 hours without food and water, let alone real oxygen and real, you know, warmth and not being squeezed to death, and who knows what the condition she's in. And so they're terrified that they're not going to be able to get to her in time. At hour 22, Jessica goes completely silent. And yes, at this point, she had been taking like naps and been quiet at sometimes, but mostly crying. And she won't answer to her parents' cry for her. They're yelling her name. Neither her father, her mother, there's policemen who had been monitoring it. They can't get her to answer. They don't know what's going on, so they don't know the condition of her. Finally, she answers, but by the next day, she's literally getting to the point where it's like longer and longer periods between her cries. She's sleeping longer, and it's starting to get really clear that this is real. She could die. She could be slowly dying. Now, the next day when Jessica goes unresponsive, it's really scary for the police, and they call Sissy out there. This is one of like the most famous moments of the case. It's so harrowing. She goes out there, Sissy's screaming into the well, Jessica, Jessica, answer me. She gets no answer, and so she starts singing Jessica's favorite song to her.
The baby hear your name.
Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, tubby little cubby all stuffed with love. Jessica? Jessica? Honey? He's Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, willy-nilly silly old bear. Winnie the Pooh.
Finally, Jessica wakes up and starts singing Winnie the Pooh back to her mother, Sissy. It is so cute, but it's so heart-wrenching at the same time, you know. Back to the drilling, when they get to a certain point, they realize that they've been drilling the wrong way. They have an expert come in and he says, look, you continue to drill this way, it could cave in on her. We don't know what could happen. You have to drill this way.
We were told there'd be expert help on the way. What makes you an expert?
I'm the guy they call after a mine disaster. Explosion, cave-in, that sort of thing. I've had a lot of experience going down for miners.
Dead miners.
So we can show you what we got.
She's down between 19 and 22 feet.
We've stabilized the temperature at 80 degrees. We're monitoring their well for methane gas, carbon monoxide. The rescue shaft is as close as we can get to that whole rig.
We've decided to cross up to get to the shaft where she's at.
Oh, you can't do that. You break through, you bring the debris crashing down on her. And since you can't tell exactly where she is, you might drill right into her. We'll have to go straight across, below her. What's beneath her?
More well shaft, 80 to 100 feet.
What's to keep her from slipping further down?
Nothing that we know of.
Easy here. All right. Lay it down. Easy go. Yeah, I think I'm in time. I haven't gone too far the wrong way. I want to flatten this drift off. Not angle up to her, but go straight to come up beneath her. You're the expert.
So now they have to change direction of the way they were drilling. And it's just extra hours piling on to the fact that they're still not getting her out. And it's driving the world crazy. And people are coming out of the woodwork because they're really invested in the case. And they're making inventions to try to get her out. Like, one guy comes up with this thing that he thinks he can suck her out of the pipe with. And another guy has this magnet he thinks he can attach to her head and pull her up. And one guy even tries to give his 3-year-old son to the police, who's tiny but strong, to lure him down in there, and he can pull her back up out of the pipe. Police are like, what? What? The crazies are coming out now. Let's get this done, guys. They continue their drilling. At 46 hours into it, crisis and tensions magnify crazy. Like, the cops are fighting with the firefighters and the paramedics. The civilians are fighting with the news crews. The news crews are fighting with the police because they're not getting answers. People are crying. I mean, like I said, people are invested in this case, and tensions are running high. The pressure is definitely on to get this done. At this point, they haven't heard from Jessica in over 5 hours. They believe she's asleep. They hope she's asleep. But at that same moment, they get a call over the radio, over the walkie-talkie, and it's the man who's drilling.
Hey, y'all, listen to this. Something weird happened.
What?
Well, the bit kind of went forward and...
Did you lose circulation?
Yeah, and...
So the air quit coming back to you? There's no powder or chips?
That's it.
The air and the cut-ins have gone elsewhere, boys. I think we broke through. Bring him up. God, we broke through. All right. Doctor! Come on.
You all right?
We broke through.
Good.
Rod's in. She's awake.
Mr. K has a steel bar through the well. That means no matter what happens, she can't slip any further.
As you can see, everyone is emotional and so excited that they broke through. And now the only hurdle is getting something in that pipe to make sure that she doesn't slip any further. So they get the hole open big enough to where they can get their hand through, and they put this rod into the pipe so that she can't slip any further. So at least they've got that under control. So now she's got the oxygen, she's got the warmth, and she's got this rod underneath her so that if she does slip, that while they're drilling on and making the hole bigger, that she doesn't slip down to the bottom of the well. So we're getting somewhere at this point. And at that moment when they place that rod in the well, the man can hear Jessica start vomiting. And she's crying, so they know that she is still alive, thank God. But she's vomiting, so we don't know what her condition is at this point. So they finally get the hole big enough to where they think they can pull her out. and slide a paramedic in to actually pull her out. So they send paramedics, Robert and Scott, down into the hole, where they're going to send Robert into the hole where he can pull her out by her feet, hopefully, and then give her to Scott, where Scott will be lifted back up and they'll put her in the ambulance. That's the plan. So Robert slides into this tiny ass hole. He looks up and he can see Jessica. He sees her feet dangling and hears her crying. But it's not great news because there's only one foot dangling. He doesn't know where the other foot is. And it turns out that that foot that wasn't visible was actually pointing straight up towards the sky. So Jessica's position was literally in a split position. She was in a split in this pipe. Can you imagine the pain you would be in? Oh, thank God baby's ligaments are like so like bendable and like they're not hard like ours are, you know. Thank God. But like I said, there's a circulation issue there. We don't know what kind of condition she's in and her foot's in. Is she gonna be able to keep her foot? Holy crap, like she's been in there for 3 days. But they believe that that is what stopped her from slipping any further, the fact that she was in that split position. So it's kind of a good thing.
Robert, what's going on? I don't know, Steve. I don't think we're going to get her out of here, man. I can't move. I need more room.
They say go for her.
Well, I can't get at her.
Robert, try again.
I can't get her out. I'm going to rip her apart if I try to pull her out of here. Oh. Jessica? Honey, I'm gonna come back for you, baby.
So the paramedic works and he honestly believes that if he pulls her out of there, he's gonna pull her in too, and he can't do it. So he goes back to the top for a break and to reevaluate the plan with the paramedics and the police. Now he says he needs a bigger opening to be able to get her out. So this time they bring in new equipment. They have a new drill that's like a water drill that will be able to drill faster and safer around her so that they don't bother her, they don't vibrate her down any further, that kind of thing. And this water drill doesn't take as long as the diamond drill bits that they were using before. So they're able to do this in no time at all to be able to open that hole back up. And they send Robert and Scott back down into the hole for what hopefully will be the actual rescue. Now it's been 56 hours since this whole debacle began, and doctors tell Robert before he goes down into the hole, look, just pull her out. Whatever you have to do, just pull. We can fix broken bones. We can fix scratches and scrapes and bruises, but just get her out. So Robert's determined to do it this time, and they go down with a few things like they have forceps like that you would pull a baby out of the womb with. They have Vaseline, and they have a stick to see what her position is actually, and they're better equipped, and the hole is open wider, so hopefully this will be the actual rescue. So as Robert is in this hole, he tries to pull on her foot and nothing. She doesn't budge, and he's telling Scott, look, she's not budging, what do I do? And Scott's like, dude, here, use the Vaseline. So he gives him the Vaseline, and Robert starts coating the inside of the pipe with Vaseline so that hopefully it'll help slide her out. And it's taking so long that the people up top are screaming down into the hole, what's taking so long? Why haven't you pulled her out yet? And he's like, dude, give me a minute, you know? So he goes to pull her once again. He pulls on her foot, and this time he pulls her actual leg, her hip, out of socket. And Jessica screams, and it's heart-wrenching for Robert, and she begins to throw up and starts choking, and it scares the shit out of Robert. But what is he gonna do? He has to get her out. So he pulls again, and finally she starts inching her way towards him.
She's moving. She's coming. Here she's coming. Here she comes. Oh, come on, honey. Come on, Jessica. Come on, Jessica. It's okay, baby. It's okay. I got you, honey. I got you. Come on. Come on. That's it. You're out, you see. You're out, Jessica. Come here. I'm sorry. It's okay. Send in the spine board, Steve.
Okay.
That's it, sweetheart. That's it.
Here it is. Here we go.
Calm down.
Here we go.
Calm down. Okay, baby. Hi, sweetheart.
Okay, come on.
Okay, here we go.
I got you.
Here we go.
It's okay. It's okay.
Here you go. Okay, sweetie. All right.
Awesomely, Robert is able to pull this poor baby out of the well. Can you imagine what Jessica was thinking? Like, finally I'm out of this dark hole, thank God. I don't, you know, whatever. Like, oh, I can't imagine. And her poor leg that was sticking high up in the sky was like real swollen. But other than that, like, she really didn't have a lot of injuries that they thought that she was going to have. She was in really good condition. I mean, if she had gone any further, she probably would have died from dehydration. But honestly, other than that, like, that was her main injury issue. But they get her in the ambulance. They get the parents in the car to follow the ambulance. They get her to the hospital, get fluids in her, give her food, water, everything that she needed, give her her medical attention. And Jessica is okay. She has actually survived this, which is crazy because there's been instances of this before, but the children usually don't survive, especially after 56 hours. So for Jessica to survive, she's such a fighter, dude. She is a survivor, for real.
Here she comes. There's clapping.
Live and direct from Midland, Texas, Jessica Mcclure is up. She's alive. What a fighter.
Dan, we can barely see her from here, but they're holding her up. They're just so excited right around there. People are clapping. It's just a tremendous sense of excitement and relief here. Momentarily, they'll be making their way right toward us here as they prepare to take her to the hospital. Here she comes, right, getting ready to go to the hospital.
But people would cheer, doctors were cheering, paramedics were cheering, the people on the side of the road. America was cheering from the TV. Like, the whole world was upside down about this. They were so excited, and literally they started sending donations for her medical bills all over the world. They were getting donations from people. Literally, it was like $3 million that they got in the 80s for this. Like, just for like a college fund and to pay her medical bills and stuff like that, which was amazing. Because today, I think today, cancel culture would have like totally taken out her parents. I mean, if I was her parent during this time of day, it would have made me suicidal, because you know that they would have got so much hate, you know what I mean? But thankfully it was the 80s and they didn't have social media and cell phones, and they didn't have all these issues with cancel culture. And so thankfully Jessica was able to live a normal life. Now she did have some broken bones, and like I said, her foot had been stuck up. So her right foot was almost amputated, and she ended up having to have like 15 surgeries in order to fix the broken bones and injuries that she had and make sure that that foot would get back to normal. The doctor that was working on her was like, I'm not going to amputate this foot. Let's save this foot. She's been through enough, right? So he took some skin from her hip to put on her foot because her foot had developed gangrene because there was no circulation to it for 56 hours. So they put some skin from her hip on her foot and actually make it to where that they can save her foot. And she is able to walk today with both of her feet. Thank God. Today, Jessica lives in Texas still. She's married. She's got 2 kids. And she lives a normal life. She works for her local school district. And she didn't even know she was baby Jessica until she was an older child. And she said she was like watching like Rescue 911, I think, and it was playing and she was like so invested in, is this baby gonna make it? And when the baby made it, she cried and her parents ended up telling her, that's you, Jessica, that was you. She has no memory of it. And when she found out it was her, she cried even more. She was like, what? I went through that? You know, crazy. And people still come up to her in the streets like, you're baby Jessica. They know her around town, you know. It's an amazing story of like true bravery from these cops and these paramedics and firefighters, because so many times we see them do the wrong things. And this was like a great example of us seeing how they really did the best that they could and put all of their efforts in. I mean, these people worked for 56 hours straight to get this baby out of this well and were determined to save her life. And they did. It's such an amazing story to me. What do you guys think about this story? It's just amazing. The strength and the will of her parents to get through this and just have to stand on the sidelines and watch police as they did nothing because they could do nothing is also harrowing to me. So let me know what you guys think. I want to hear your opinion of the story. If I missed any facts or anything, please let me know. Make sure you do hit that subscribe button on the way out and leave me a like if you would like to like the video. And let me know what you guys want to see next time. I really appreciate you sticking with me today. Love you guys. Bye.